Hi everyone and welcome back to Vlogmas Day 2. Today I have sort of like a video essay talking about second male love interests and female agency. This was a text that I've written a couple months back and decided to transform the content in a video form. I am going to be mentioning and talking about love triangles as a trope, and also talking and giving spoilers for Fourth Wing, Heartless Hunter, Twilight, but I guess you kind of know what it happens in Twilight, and The Divine and the Cursed. So if you don't want to get spoiled for these books, then it's best if you skip to the next one. The main idea behind this essay is, why are all romance books that include the love triangle trope have to create such terrible, horrible guys as our second male love interest? And why can't the female main character have the agency to choose who she wants to be with? First and main example of this is Dane from Fourth Wing. He started the book being Violet's best friend. He was attempting to break the rules of their world just so she could be a scribe and not face death at the Quadrant. Violet once had a crush on him, that is mentioned, but he left for a writer's school. Why would it be difficult for a reader to believe that Violet had outgrown her crush on Dane? Or maybe that she just didn't like him anymore? Or even that she liked Xaden better? Did Dane as a character have to become a complete narc, be willing to kill Violet just to stick to the rules that he previously was willing to break, just for us to believe that that's why Violet could never love him? Did the author have to completely demolish his character for it to be understandable why Violet wouldn't choose him? Couldn't she just not choose him? I think for such strong female main characters, especially in the romantasy space, we give very little agency to them when it comes to choosing their romantic partners, both as readers, as writers, and even as editors. It is always fated lovers or a second male love interest that is a completely shell of a human being. It's never, I see you for who you are and I choose you. I think this is one of the reasons why I loved Heartless Hunter so much when I read it. I didn't need for Rune to love Alex or to feel the spark that could have grown into a fire, like she even says in the book. But I loved that the author didn't completely butcher Alex's character. He got to die with dignity, protecting the witches, which was something that he believed in, not because he loved a witch, but because he knew it was right. And Rune, she had so much agency in this novel that it completely shocked me. She fell in love with Gideon, despite knowing Alex, despite also having this spark with Alex, despite knowing Alex loved her back. She still fell for Gideon. It sort of has become like a joke at this point between readers that if you see a first male main character in a romantasy and he's blonde, especially, you can bet your money that he's not going to be the one that the main character ends up with. To such an extent that if he was, it would be surprising. And why is that? As someone that has always loved the second male love interest better, someone who has always loved the kind best friend much more than the bad boy from the other side of the tracks, I could never quite pinpoint why it was so embarrassing for me to admit that. And I think it's not because those qualities are somehow inferior to the sexiness of the bad boy or the thrill that he can give as a romantic pairing. I think this embarrassment stems from the fact that these second male leads are always completely written off in a way that demolishes their character and any chance of you liking them publicly. Imagine, how can you, in good conscience, admit that you liked Dane at the end of Fourth Wing? He completely violated Violet's boundaries by looking into her memories without her knowledge. And I do question sometimes, do these sorts of betrayals need to come from a romantic interest? Can't these female main characters have female friends that also betray them? Can't these plots be moved forward without the need of love triangle like that? Can't the good guy remain being the good guy and the main female character just prefer the thrill of a bad guy, like in Heartless Hunter? Violet in Fourth Wing, she needed to be able to choose to be with Xaden. I think that choice makes their love even more beautiful, in my humble opinion. And again, a book does not need a love triangle to show how beautiful choosing someone can be. A main female character does not need ever to choose between two guys for a romance to feel strong, swoony, and a big part of a plot. And I'm saying that as a really big fan of love triangles, because I think she especially doesn't need to choose between two guys when you as an author have clearly been writing her to choose one over the other. Like, that's not even a choice at that point. It's just a matter of when. So why would you create this love triangle to begin with? I've always hated that Jacob was never a real contestant for Bella's heart. But the books and the movies were all marketed as if he was. Like, Bella never gave him a chance. Why were we wearing Team Jacob shirts when Jacob was not even in the roster? Like, he was never considered by Bella, ever, for nothing other than a friend. I also like to think that the commentary on nice guys would be very interesting if female characters had more agency to choose who they wanted to be with, especially if they choose to be with a bad guy at the end. Being kind does not warrant you the girl. Being a good person does not automatically mean that the hot girl will choose you. And she is not a reward you are given for completing the mere task of being a normal human being. But because all of these good guys then suddenly turn into terrible men, this conversation never exists. I also like to think that good guys have to suddenly turn into bad guys so you can excuse the bad guy's behavior. For example, Xaden being a traitor to the kingdom, like his father, is very small compared to Dane betraying Violet's trust. It just is. That's the reality of it. Especially because later you learn that maybe the rebellion was warranted, they were indeed correct in trying to usurp the power of Navarro's government. In The Cursed and the Divine, I think the love triangle was really well done, especially because of this. Ariana is in love with Rion, even after he admits to all of the bad things that he's done. She chooses him anyway, and she does so even after kissing Talon and being sure for her entire life that she would end up with Talon, even after she was alive for the past 2 years in the hope that one day Talon would come to rescue her and they would be reunited. And of course, like, Talon is heartbroken that when they finally reunite, Ariana has moved on to another guy, and especially because he also has beef with Rion. But Talon does not become someone else. He does not do terrible things to excuse the terrible things Rion has done. Ariana chooses Rion despite that. Talon is still the same guy that Ariana met when they were kids. He's still the guy who will continue to search for Ariana even after 2 years and after her own father has given up searching for her because he still believes that she could be alive. He is still the guy that is willing to protect and care for a man he almost killed previously in the same book because he is the man that Ariana loves. He is her mate, so he is going to protect Rion. In my opinion, the fact that Talon, Ariana's best friend, former almost partner, also starts to care for Rion makes Rion's bond with Ariana even stronger and more beautiful, in my opinion. Because Talon can see how his best friend and the person that he thought he would end up with loves this guy. He trusts her judgment. He trusts her. So he also cares for Rion. Isn't that such a beautiful testament to how incredible Rion and Ariana's love and relationship is? How faded they are to each other? Much more than if Talon had suddenly become a terrible possessive guy who would betray Ariana just to get her to himself, who would eradicate all of his yearning that he has done for the past 2 years just because he sees her with someone else. To me, this would mean that Rion didn't earn Ariana's love. He'd win because the opponent was not even on the mat. Ariana had once loved Talon, If Talon suddenly became someone new, of course she wouldn't love this guy. Who the fuck is this guy? So Rion would have won her heart because there's no longer anyone else running for it. But no, Ariana loved Talon once, and Talon is still there. Is still the same guy that she loved. And she's choosing Rion anyway. With flaws and all, knowing the terrible things that he has done, knowing it would be much easier for her, for the kingdom, for her to be with someone that she has always known, someone her parents have always rooted for, someone that she has always envisioned a life with. But she's still choosing Rion because she loves him. Isn't that just beautiful? I think this is why I love the idea and the trope of love triangles so much. Even though most of the times I feel really disappointed with their execution because of the lack of female agency given to our main female characters. Because I feel like love triangles can bring the best in romance when done right. But doing them right means giving our female main characters the agency to choose what is best for them. Without needing to write off a character to explain this choice, they should get to choose to be with the bad guy, no matter who else is in the story. They should get to choose to be with the good guy, no matter who else is in the story. She doesn't need to love the nice guy, and that is okay. The nice guy does not need to suddenly turn into a terrible guy for me to understand that. She can simply not like him, and that is fine. You do not need to spell everything out for your reader. Let them interpret it. Let them decide which team they are, Team Jacob or Team Edward. I think this is the fun part, the entertaining part of love triangles. Choosing and rooting for one side over the other, and knowing that the female main character has the agency to choose. She has the power to decide which one she wants to be with. And you don't have to ponder, oh my god, is this second male love interest that is blonde and kind at the beginning going to end up being the murderer by the end of the story? Trust that your readers will be able to distinguish and be able to root for your main character. If your main female character is a strong character, has agency, is relatable, is enticing to the reader is going to be on her side, despite who she chooses to be with by the end. Because you will have written out a real relationship that a reader can root for, even if they don't like the male character that she ends up with. Like it happened for me with Heartless Hunter. I liked Alex better than Gideon, but I was still incredibly happy that Rune ended with Gideon because she chose him. And I love Rune. So this is my pleading for publishing, to put more love triangles in romance books and to give our female main characters more agency to choose which one of them she wants to end up with. And this is my vlog for day 2 of Vlogmas. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye!